From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Working for treats.
Oh, that's good, boy.
Meet one of the top dogs helping to keep our food supplies safe. Why Florida's citrus crop could be the worst in almost 100 years, as drought continues to firmly have a grip on the Midwest.
So the bottom line is that we are still looking at an environment here that is not real conducive for serious relief to the drought.
But there are areas of improvement. A closer look right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when experience meets expertise. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Drought is continuing to loosen its grip on parts of farm country, but it's taking a while. The latest drought monitor showing a small improvement. Now take a look. About 26% of the country remains under drought conditions, just a fraction of an improvement from the previous week. But forecasters say heavy to excessive rainfall significantly improved or removed drought from parts of the Northeast and South Central Great Plains. And that in turn is helping thirsty crops. Now 64% of the nation's corn crop is reported to be in drought. Still high, but that's down 3% from last week, but on par with where we were back on June 20th. Soybeans also doing a little better with 57% of the crop in drought, also down 3% from last week. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, one place we haven't seen big improvements is in the Midwest.
No, that's right, Clinton. Areas of the Midwest experiencing severe to exceptional or D1 to D4 level drought actually increased fractionally over the past week. And that's despite some better rains in parts of the Corn Belt starting at the very end of June into July.
The latest drought monitor shows 64% of the Midwest is in drought, with top producing states like Iowa seeing a slight increase, now at 87%. Missouri was up 2% to 82%, and while Illinois drought area shrunk by 1.5 points, it still covers 83% of the state. Meteorologists tell me the precip in those areas just hasn't been drought busting.
The greatest rain, the most frequent rain, has been occurring a little farther to the west in the Central Plains. We've also seen a few areas in the Midwest and the eastern Midwest picking up on some significant rain, but I don't think that the rain in some of those areas was greater than usual. And so the bottom line is that we are still looking at an environment here that is not real conducive for serious relief to the drought.
Lerner says it's difficult this time of year as well to make headway on soil moisture with higher temperatures and evapotranspiration rates of the crops, and the forecast is not conducive for big improvements.
That we'll have some timely rain, but not necessarily normal rain until rather late in the season, which suggests that we may have a problem with getting the largest kernel sizes on these ears, and we may still have a risk of not completely filling some of the ears in the drier biased areas.
He says there's already been yield loss and the weather pattern may not change enough the rest of the growing season to reverse the damage.
So Lerner suggests further cuts in yield are possible beyond the 4-bushel drop on corn USDA printed in the supply and demand report.
Illinois did see some severe weather midweek. The National Weather Service says it tracked 5 reports of possible tornadoes in the state on Wednesday. Now, the reports were centered in Cook, DuPage, Kane, and McHenry counties. The powerful storms produced torrential rain along with damaging winds. The severe weather forced ground stops at both Chicago airports, causing thousands of air travelers to shelter in place for a time. And now it's the lower Mississippi Valley's turn for some big rain. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with more.
Yeah, Clayton, I know you're talking about the rain, but one thing I like about using the afternoon temperatures is we can see where the dividing line is between the cool and the hot. It's right in between there. We talk about Mississippi, where that rain and also where that pattern is going to set up. So you have the triple-digit heat, dry air back down here to the south and to the southwest. You get back up into the 80s and the 70s into the Midwest. So in between there, we're going to be picking up some Gulf moisture. And if you haven't heard yet, off the coast of Florida, they're actually looking at water temperatures up above 90 degrees. Water temperatures above 90 degrees and portions just off the coast of Florida. So in between, again, that heat and the cool air is when we could start to see some of those showers and thunderstorms developing. Now that's this afternoon. As we go into the weekend for your Saturday and Sunday, the temperatures or the heat starts to retreat back here to the west, but it is going to build once again Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as we sink in some cooler temperatures tomorrow morning. Go ahead and take a look at your screen here. Let's go ahead and see what's going on in northeast Iowa. This was sent in. People are loving this on AgDay Facebook page. Northeast Iowa Cobb Asgrow sharing this picture. They say a retired Iowa farmer's family made him feel more at home by planting some of their corn outside of his nursing home window. Oh, that's fantastic. Even making him a custom sign. I bet that makes it feel more like home for him. That just warms the heart. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
New numbers from USDA show that this year's citrus production in Florida could be the worst in nearly 100 years. Now, it says the overall orange forecast is 2.52 million tons. That's down 1% from the previous forecast and down 26% from the last season. Zooming in on Florida, it's calling for just under 16 million boxes. Now that's up 1% from the previous forecast, but down a whopping 62% from last season. The news not better in the state for other citrus crops, with early, mid-season, and navel varieties down 66% from last season. And Florida's famed Valencia oranges, they're down 58%. Now, experts say the drops are due to citrus screening and the ongoing impacts from Hurricane Ian. In an effort to extend the Black Sea grain deal, the UN has reportedly offered to allow Russia to connect a subsidiary of the country's agricultural bank to the SWIFT international payment system. Reuters reports the EU is considering allowing it specifically for grain and fertilizer transactions. Now, over the past couple of weeks, Russia has threatened not to extend the deal because it says several demands to allow shipments of its own grain and fertilizer have not been met. It also had demanded it be reconnected to the SWIFT international payment network. The grain deal was negotiated last year in an effort to stave off world hunger. It has been extended several times, with the latest extension running out on Monday. We've heard a lot about efforts to promote climate-smart agriculture, but how do you measure that it's working? USDA this week announcing it will allocate $300 million to enhance the accuracy of measuring and reporting of greenhouse gas emissions and carbon sequestration. Now, part of the money will go to establishing a network for soil carbon monitoring and one for greenhouse gas research. The money, Secretary Tom Vilsack says, will serve as a critical link between farming practices and markets willing to pay for demonstrated carbon reductions.
This opportunity is more than just collecting information, more than equipping our farmers and ranchers with better tools. It also supports the work in terms of the advancing the notion of climate-smart commodities.
The money for the program comes from the Inflation Reduction Act, which provided nearly $20 billion in overall investments to advance climate-smart agriculture. The market's trying to shake off that Wednesday USDA report. We'll look at the latest market movers coming up next. And later, we're off to the airport to meet a team working hard to keep foreign animal diseases away from U.S. farms in the country. A new report from the Kansas City Federal Reserve shows farm lending is slowing down as interest rates rise. Look at this chart. The volume of new non-real estate farm loans at commercial banks was roughly 15% less than a year ago. Meanwhile, the median interest rate has doubled since the beginning of 2021. Half of all new operating loans in the second quarter saw rates above 8.5%. A tenth of loans were near 10%. Corn, soybeans, and wheat regaining their strength on Thursday as the market shook off USDA's bearish supply-demand report. Michelle Rook is back to see if we'll end the week on a positive note in Markets Now.
Grains ended the day higher on Thursday. Naomi Bloom with Total Farm Marketing joining us. And Naomi, the bounce after a big down day the previous day, was it all corrective in nature or was there more to it?
There's a little bit of multiple things going on today. I think part of today was that the dollar value had been working lower. It worked below 100, and that's the first time since April of 2022 that was able to do that. So that signifies hope that potentially our export market might pick up some demand. And so that was one reason why the market was working a little higher. Also, I think the trade was not really believing what the USDA said as far as yield for corn. That 177.5 number seems a little high for a lot of folks in the industry who right now are thinking yield is closer to 172 or 173. A lot of bargain buying showed up. Maybe a bear trap is what some technical traders are calling yesterday's marketplace. And just being able to get that December corn price back above $5 is quite significant. We're going to be waiting to see in terms of Monday's crop progress report, if there's any improvements there. We're going to be waiting to see if there's any rumors of corn exports picking up. That was part of the rumblings happening on social media, also supporting the market today. And $5 corn in general, just good value, again, especially because there's so much uncertainty yet about yield. And with soybean prices still staying high, it's hard for corn to really fall apart right now.
Yeah, you have to wonder though, do you think we already have an intermediate top in the soybean market? Couldn't take out $14 here, even when we had that 4 million acre cut. So where do we go in soybeans from here?
Soybeans have some overhead resistance for the November contract at $14, but strong support at $13.25. And so the market probably in the short term starts to trade in a sideways fashion where $13.25 is support and $14 is resistance until we get to know a little bit more about that August weather. The USDA did not make any budges to the yield, which makes sense because it's a little early yet for soybeans. Obviously, their August weather is most important. And trade is really looking to see if we're going to start to see some export demand pick up in the coming weeks. So that's going to be what we're watching, again, along with the weather.
All right. Thanks for joining us. As always, Naomi Bloom, Total Farm Marketing. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779.
Yeah, we're talking about the rain, the heat just a little bit ago. So update to that drought monitor. Things are looking better. And I say better because if you're still in this exceptional drought, you're just saying, what do you mean better? Unfortunately, the way the pattern is set up, most of the rain, most of the thunderstorms have been going south of the exceptional drought and north of that exceptional drought. I mean, that is why we are in that current situation. But we're starting to get a little bit more rainfall into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and even Illinois, where it was looking like we're going to get to the extreme, if not exceptional drought in some of those locations. Still dry, and what I still want to see is what they are getting on the East Coast, which is more widespread showers over a large area. You can see all the way back up towards Canada and back down here to the south. It's rainfall spread out over a large area. And if you remember what we talked about earlier this week, I'd love to be able to just take this and move it right there to make things easier. Unfortunately, that pattern that is shifted more towards the East Coast, which is where a lot of that rain is spreading out and bringing, at times, flooding and dangerous rainfall to the East Coast. Into Monday we go. So this is Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning. You have a few showers tailing this low pressure system, but quiet back out here to the west. And if there's one thing you're going to hear me say in the next couple of days, it's going to be quiet out over towards the west. The heat is going to be building and it is going to be dry, just capped atmosphere with record high temperatures being set Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit into Thursday when our jet stream, the pattern ends up going zonal. So what that sets up is you got the heat, extreme heat back out here towards the four corners. In between the heat and the cooler air, that's where we start to see some of the showers developing, that the train track is starting to be laid down. And since this is kind of firing off the jet stream, you can keep that pattern around for the next couple of days. What's going on in Clearwater, Florida? Partly cloudy, high around 89 degrees. Baker, Montana, little windy, partly cloudy, high around 79 degrees. And we'll finish things off mostly sunny, high around 90 degrees, low of only 83 degrees.
Not just inflation, but food inflation. We'll look at the latest data coming up next. And later, he has a nose for biosecurity. We'll meet one member of the team working hard to keep the agricultural industry safe at our nation's ports in the country.
Registration is open for the 2023 Pro Farmer Crop Tour, August 21st through the 24th. Attend one of our nightly meetings or join online as we gain insight on the 2023 growing season. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.
This As we first told you yesterday, new numbers from the federal government showed inflation is continuing to ease, but economists caution there is much more work to do. Last June, inflation peaked at its highest level in 4 decades, with consumer prices climbing 9.1% from the year prior. But the latest reading came in at 3%. Now that's the lowest it's been in more than 2 years. Overall, consumer prices increased 3% year over year. That's according to the Consumer Price Index reading released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And food prices continue to moderate too, with the index for meat, poultry, fish, and eggs also falling in June.
Well, we're really starting to see prices come down across categories, across the economy, with that all item CPI down to 3%. We're just really seeing a slowing in both food and non-food categories across the economy here as we come out of that period of really high growth in the first 6 or 7 months of last year.
So this isn't a much better place, but it's not yet to the promised land of where we want to be. We still see some elevated prices for things that are important.
But shelter costs remain stubbornly high, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that accounted for the bulk of June's increase. But inflation is continuing to hit people hard, with a new survey saying food insecurity in the U.S. has reached 17%. Now that matches the rate reached in March of last year, and it's up from 14% just 2 months ago. The survey was conducted by Purdue University for its June Consumer Food Insights report. Now, one ag economist says the increase could be related to an end in March of the pandemic-related boost to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Keeping foreign animal diseases at bay is no easy task. We'll meet a team working hard to keep agriculture safe in the country.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
There are unsung heroes protecting our livestock industries from foreign animal diseases, and you'll find some of them at our nation's ports, working tirelessly for treats. Photojournalist Russ Natusco introduces us to one member of the Beagle Brigade serving in Chicago.
My name is Martin Schultz. I'm a Customs and Border Protection Agriculture Specialist. This is Agriculture Detection Dog Soul. Ready to do some work? The USDA is the organization that will source the dogs and do the initial training. Our mission is to safeguard American agriculture, and we do so by identifying the various fruits and vegetables and meats that people are bringing into the country.
So find it.
We employ dogs that can track scent and have them walk around, and then that helps us to identify more of the potential pathways that the pathogens and pests could enter the country via the passenger baggage environment.
That one?
Nope. The beagles work here in the passenger environment because they appear a little bit less threatening than some of the other large breeds. They also have amazing ability to differentiate the various scents that we're looking for. They're also highly food driven, so he'll do anything for a treat.
Oh, that's good boy.
The items that we saw on the table, that's only about a third of what they intercepted last night, the agriculture team here at Chicago. The United States pork export industry right now is number 1 or number 2 in the world. For last year, it was $7.7 billion worth of income generated for the country. And if him and I let in some pork that has some swine fever in it, right, that could devastate pork products here, right, and that's a lot of money lost. So just by giving him one little treat, right, we may help to protect and safeguard the agriculture. So it does have a sticker, but it doesn't say where it was produced. So these ones won't be allowed into the country either. We tell them, you know, why we prohibit the entry. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes they're still very frustrated about it. But the nature of it is that we can't identify that the items have met the import standards set by the USDA to bring the items into the country. And if they fail to declare any of the items at that point, then we have the justification to issue a penalty for failure to declare if we so choose. But, hold on. Excuse me, ma'am. One moment. Where's the buddy? Oh, yeah, good boy. Yeah, it looks like ham. All right, yeah, we'll take that one too. Good boy. Sit.
Good boy.
Sit.
Oh, it's my sandwich.
Good job, buddy.
Sit.
Yeah, you found it. Good boy.
I don't believe that this is the great sandwich smuggling heist of 2023, right? It shocks me every day just how good he is able to track a scent throughout the haul. He gets paid, lots and lots of treats. Yep.
That's a good boy, Sol. You're doing so good, buddy.
And thanks to photojournalist Russ Natesco for sharing that story with us. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.